Hi, I'm Cindy Cloward with Riley Blake Designs, and today I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects besides my grandchildren. It's color. Specifically, I'm going to talk about color theory today. We love color at Riley Blake, and we work with colors every single day with beautiful patterns, designs, and interesting color combinations. But we also have beautiful confetti cotton solids, high quality solids that are made in Korea. Take a look at our beautiful confetti cottons. Look at all these color combinations, or look at all the color. We have every color in the rainbow, including a lot of beautiful neutrals. So let's take a look at that. That's a lot of color, right? And we also have a tool that we have come out with. It's called the Quilty color wheel that has all of our confetti cotton colors around on the wheel, and I'm going to show you how to create beautiful color combinations using this color wheel and color theory. So let me put away this swatch card. Now, color theory is just the basics of color, giving you a few guidelines to bring beautiful color combinations to your quilts and your sewing projects. And you'll notice here, we have all the colors in the rainbow, and let's go back to our elementary school days and talk about the basics of color theory. First, we have our primary colors. We've got our red, yellows, and blues here. Those are our primary colors. And then to make secondary colors, we combine those colors together, and we've got greens, orange, and purples. And then we combine the secondary colors again, and we have other combinations that make tertiary colors. Just beautiful color combinations when you combine colors. So let's talk about hues, values, and saturation of color. Now, hues are basically pure color, and we have all the colors around this quilty wheel. So the hue of color would be, we have a blue hue, we have a pink, we have orange into the yellows. All the colors on the rainbow are hues. Now, valuation of color is how light or dark a color is. So here is a difference of valuation in purples. We got a lighter value of color and a deeper value. Sometimes it's a little tricky to notice the value of color if you're using, say, two different colors and you want to know if they have the same value of color. We've got these quilty specs that you can put on and say, okay, do they look different? Do we want the same value of color? Well, I put these quilty specs on and I have a clear, lighter value of color on this blue. So that's another tool that we've created to help you tell the value. The next thing we're going to talk about is the saturation of color. Now you can look at these greens and they look like they have the same value, but there's definitely one that has more saturation of green. And so they're all the same values, but this is more saturated than the other greens. That's saturation. Now let's talk about contrast. Depending on what kind of quilt or project you want to make, you might want to have high contrasting fabrics. And they are very eye-catching and have a lot of interest. So you can choose high contrasting fabric. Even Christmas colors are high contrasting fabric, like this. Or if you want less low contrasting, depends on what kind of mood of fabric you want, you can go for something like this, a little less contrast. It just depends on what kind of project you want to make, what kind of statement you want to make. So let's go into warm tones and cool tones. Now, reds, oranges, pinks, yellows, those are usually very warm tone colors. They're very inviting and they very eye-catching, and it depends on if you want that feeling in your quilt to use warm tones. Springtime, very warm, right? Spring and summer. But maybe you want more cool tones in your quilts and projects. Those are your purples, your blues, your deep greens, and those are more soothing, more serenity kind of projects. It just depends what kind of quilt you want to make. And sometimes you want high contrast, and so you have different tones. But a lot of times I find that I use warm tones or cool tones in a project, and I don't generally mix. But again, you're the boss of your quilt. Just see what you like in your quilts. But pay attention whether you're using warm tones or cool tones. On the Quilty color wheel, we see that our cool tones are on this side of the wheel and our warmer tones are over on this side. Now I'm going to show you how you can incorporate color combinations that are pleasing to the eye using this Quilty color wheel. So my favorite color is pink. I'm going to put it right here. It's pointing to rose. And this is, you can see the different values on the color wheel. The lightest value is the top ring, and we go different values as we go down towards the center. So I'm going to go with this second value right here, which is this rose color. We've got this beautiful rose color, and now I want to do an interesting combination, and it's called a complementary color, which is opposite in the color wheel. So that's what this little turn part in the center is for, this little arrow. You're going to highlight the color that you want to choose, and then you're going to follow it down the arrow and choose a complementary color. Now you have a couple little options in here. And this is one of the options. This is a kiwi color. And look at what an interesting combination that makes with a complementary color. Now in future videos, we're gonna talk about the triad, which is 3-color combination, and you get into these cool tones a little bit. And then we have tetrad, where we've got 4-color combinations, and that's where it gets really interesting, how the color combinations work. Again, you are additioning colors to see what you like, what's pleasing to your eye, using basic color theory. Now let's talk about analogous. And then what analogous colors are is colors next to each other on the color wheel. So we're going to keep that pink right there, and we're going to pull these colors above here in the same value, the second level down, analogous colors. So this is what analogous colors would look like. And that might be an interesting color combination for a quilt. See if it's pleasing to your eye. We've got, that's our pink, so that's analogous. And then let's talk about monochromatic. So that's different saturations of color in the same hue. So you, using the color wheel, we're still using that pink, we would look down here and find different saturations of that color. We just kind of take a look. So this is a lighter value of color. And we would see if we like that, monochromatic. Sometimes you just like an all pink quilt with different levels of color. Now let's talk about proportion of how you use color. That's kind of the last thing that's highlighted. You can see all this information I'm talking about is on the back of the color wheel. Lots of great information on color theory. Now proportion of color is how much color you have in your quilt. Are you doing it half of one color, half of another? The roll of 2/3, 1/3 is an interesting combination and is usually recommended. So 1/3 of a coordinating color and 2/3 of the main color you want to focus on. Those are just all ways that you can use color theory to create beautiful creations of quilts and projects. So all this information is on the back of this color wheel, and I think you'll find it very helpful in designing your next quilt or project. So leave a comment if you use color theory in designing your quilts, or just leave a comment of your favorite color.